Well, I know the big news is that the Dallas mall shooter is now confirmed to be a very authentic Hispanic neo-Nazi, this according to his Russian social media page on which he posted his very authentic views and photos of his very authentic fresh Nazi tattoos, descriptions of which were first leaked by the very same feds who curiously won't leak anything similar about the Nashville shooting. And if it seems at all strange that a Latino whose parents don't even speak English would post such clear confessions saying, just so you guys know, I am a very real and very serious Nazi on some obscure site that literally nobody even read or interacted with until just the right people discovered it to say that Tim Pool clearly played a role in radicalizing this man. If you have any questions about any of that, just stop. Because after all, the official sources have declared that's really all you need to know about it. Now, seriously speaking, of course, I am not alleging that the whole thing is fake. It's just that this story has taken such a turn for the bizarre that I suspect there will be more information of value. Early reports are often flawed. Perhaps this story is an outlier in that it's been perfectly reported so far, but I will wait for that additional information and instead discuss another story that illustrates the general wisdom. For most of us, a flawed report just means that a news story that we saw was misleading. But in a case like this, a flawed report is actually a weapon to destroy your entire life. If you follow pro football, you may recall the name Matt Araiza. He's a young punter who last year finished up his time at San Diego State University and was selected by the Buffalo Bills in the NFL draft last April. Punters are not commonly drafted, but Araiza was because he's an uncommon talent. He set NCAA punting records, he won the award for the top punter in the country, and he was only the second player in school history to be named a unanimous All-American. In training camp, Araiza beat his veteran competition for the starting job. For all of these achievements, fans at SDSU dubbed him the Punt God, a nickname with which Araiza was not personally thrilled, expressing his own humility about it when drafted by the Bills. Until August of last year, when just before the football season start, Araiza's young career was halted before it ever really even began, because he was accused of rape. Worse than that, actually. He was accused of gang rape of a minor. A young woman emerged on August 25th, alleging in a civil lawsuit that when she was 17 the prior October, she attended a party at Araiza's off-campus house, and after an outside sexual encounter with him, she said Araiza led her into a room where she was repeatedly raped by multiple men. Araiza denied the allegations. His lawyer defended his innocence and said the accuser is just looking for cash.
He had what we call the deep pockets of these three young men, and I still think it's a money grab on her part on behalf of Mr. Araiza.
His family said Araiza was being unfairly tried and convicted on social media, that he was being extorted, and that the investigation would ultimately reveal his innocence. Correct. In all aspects, it turns out, by the looks of the newly revealed facts, and unfortunately correct on the premature consequences for Matt Araiza too, because almost immediately after that lawsuit was filed, the Bills cut Araiza, severing his job and causing him to miss the entire season, costly both in experience and, of course, in income. The lawsuit's central allegation that Araiza led this young woman to a 90-minute gang rape had red flags from the start. Now, in fairness to the accuser, she did report the incident to police the day after it allegedly happened in October 2021, but police investigated the incident for 10 months after that. By the time the civil lawsuit was filed, that nearly year-long investigation had no recommendation for prosecution. The Bills team was aware of the allegation and investigated themselves, but decided there wasn't merit to the case, or at least insufficient merit to cause the team not to draft Araiza or give him a roster spot. Now, of course, the standard of proof in a civil case is lower than criminal, so perhaps this accuser just figured where definitive proof might be lacking, her chance at some justice is better in the civil context. Fine, I could understand that thinking if there was any plausible truth to these allegations, but the problem is, now that the facts have emerged from the district attorney's investigation last year, there is no plausible truth to these allegations. In December, upon the completion of their investigation, prosecutors announced they would bring no charges in the case, not just against Araiza, but against the others named in the case either. Few details about why were provided publicly, perhaps to protect the juvenile accuser, but now Yahoo News has obtained a transcript of a nearly 2-hour meeting between a deputy district attorney and the accuser and her lawyers to explain that decision. And in this meeting, the DA's office presented plenty of evidence detailing why, but the findings can be accurately summarized in one sentence. That shit didn't happen. And it didn't happen with Araiza specifically, because the evidence reveals he wasn't even at the party at the time of the alleged incident. There is at least partial video of the sexual encounters the accuser is calling gang rape, and those are timestamped at 1:30 a.m. Witness testimony confirms Araiza left the party an hour earlier at 12:30. Okay, well, maybe Araiza led her to that room, and then some time passed, and then she was attacked. What about that? No. She was not attacked at all. In fact, she was throwing herself at young men all night. Witnesses report she was approaching men at the party and saying, "I want you to bleep me, and if you don't bleep me, you're a bleep." Well, she set the rules. You can't call a guy a bleep and then get mad when he proves you wrong. And just in case you doubt that witness testimony, there is video evidence too. In none of this video of the ongoing incident in question is the supposed victim resisting or telling her partners to stop or doing anything but enjoying herself. As part of this meeting reviewing the evidence, the deputy DA said, quote, "I don't see any elements of force being used in the sexual encounter." According to witnesses, this accuser in fact had multiple sexual encounters that night, and after each one, returned to happily describe the thrilling details to fellow partygoers. Okay, but what about the underage part? She was 17 at the time. Age of consent in California is 18, so shouldn't Araiza and the rest of these guys be booked on some sort of statutory rape charge? Well, the accuser lied about her age. Witnesses say she was parading around the party, telling everyone that she was 18. Witnesses plural, not just one. Additionally, there is video evidence of her doing the same thing the night before at a different party. Okay, but how did she get there in the first place? What, did these guys swing by the local daycare to take advantage of her or something? No, she and her high school friends just showed up to the party themselves by entering through a back gate. Yes, she backdoored her way into various backdoor joke possibilities. Okay, so she shows up on her own accord. She lies about her age while throwing herself at random guys. Shockingly, she gets some of these guys to accept her repeated and ongoing propositions. She, in fact, challenges their manhood should they choose to decline. She then tells everyone else how much she enjoyed the realization of these propositions until suddenly it becomes potentially profitable to lie about that entire sequence of events. That is the story summarized. The only remaining defense is whoopsie, that she isn't actually lying, that she's just mistaken in her intoxicated recollection of events. But like everything else, though, any claim that this is all just a misunderstanding is almost certainly untrue as well. This is not a case of whoopsie. This is a case of deliberate malicious lying in pursuit of personal gain. First, just because of the timing of this civil suit, and not just because it was filed after police investigation recommended no charges, but because it was filed after Matt Araiza became a much richer man. This incident allegedly happened in October, and this accuser did not pursue anything in terms of this civil lawsuit until after Matt Araiza was drafted and after he signed a $4 million NFL contract in the spring. Second, even if that timing is just coincidental, the suit is still ongoing even after these revelations of fact. The accuser and her attorney are still pursuing the case and the money 5 months after they were shown the evidence in demonstration that they have no case. And third, we know that she's a malicious liar Because she maliciously lies all the time. The age claims were a lie, not just that, but she initially claimed that during this supposed attack, she had body piercings ripped out. But video gathered in the investigation showed that no such thing happened. The only mitigating factor she has is, ironically, her age. She was 17 when she made up all of these lies, but she's such a liar that she lied about the best point in her own defense. So the question is not accountability for Araiza after a year and a half of wrongly subjecting him to premature consequences that assumed that he owed any. The question now is accountability for this false accuser. I think it's probable that Araiza's lawyers at minimum will see opportunity for a counter case here, a civil suit presumably on defamation grounds or something similar for the career and reputation ruining accusations that she made knowing they were lies for at least the last 5 months. That counter case could be complicated by the fact that the accuser was a minor when the defamation began, but of course, it still continues now well into her adult years. Additionally, Araiza is not the only victim here either. He is the primary victim, obviously. But the lie is an abuse of all of us when our public law enforcement resources are consumed by complete and total bullshit. And this has been complete and total bullshit the whole time. The San Diego Police Department wasted 10 months on it. The San Diego DA's office wasted months more. Those are law enforcement resources diverted from actual crimes. And residents of the area, in addition to the rest of us through federal grants, paid for that entire distraction. It is already a crime to make a false police report in California, but it's only a misdemeanor, even if the crime falsely alleged is a felony, as it was in this case. So falsely accuse someone else of a life-altering crime and face only a minor punishment yourself. Perhaps there's an argument to make these two things a little more proportional. Falsely accuse a high-level felony and face a high-level felony charge yourself. It's hard to argue that such a thing is overly harsh when in fact, it's completely even-handed. Only make life-ruining accusations when you have the confidence that they are in fact true. There's nothing unfair about such a standard. We could actually be much harsher about it still. Anybody who makes a false felony accusation has to take an actual beating from the Osundairo brothers of Jussie Smollett fame on camera for all of us to watch. I think that's pretty realistic, actually. They clearly need the work, and they do have a knack for the show.
That's that neck.
That's that neck.
Get that neck.
Oh, he's moving fast. Come on, let's get him.
Get that neck.
Let's get him. After I threw him to the ground, I used my knuckle and gave him a noogie.
Plus, it's certainly not any worse. This would be the best use of public money in years. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel always. Appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Gab, that is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to come out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.